Hello, everybody. My name's Markiplier, and my name is actually Kelsey. Now he just sounds like Barney the dinosaur or something. But hi, my name is Kelsey, and I'm an actor and voice actor living in Chicago, as you can see behind me. And today I will be reacting to Why is Gen Z Humor So Weird by Mr. Sweet. Now, I am not a Gen Zer. I'm a dirty millennial, but I am just on the cusp of being a Gen Zer. And grew up pretty online, and also grew up with younger siblings. So I feel like I have always, the days of like albino black sheep and all that, the Flash things with Colin Mockery, making fun of George W. Bush and like the evil strawberry, very much grew up with that sense of humor. So I vibe with Gen Z humor so much, and I'm excited to see what Mr. Sweet has to say. We're doing breathing exercises.
Generation Z humor. What? What is that? Why?
Me after I'm done filming today.
People find this funny? Isn't Gen Z just a movie about some zombies?
Uh-oh. Stinky.
You better stop it. We all us reactors stream on Twitch, Chicago_plays, and I have made people on stream watch the Uh-Oh Stinky Monkey with me so many times. I made my partner watch it, and he did not get it, and I was crying laughing. But he is also 2 years older than me and raised with older siblings. So it makes a difference. There's also a British version of the Uh-Oh Stinky Monkey that's like, Uh-oh, Stinky! Which, highly recommend. Check it out. No,
Hi,
happening?
I'm Mr. Sweet, and today I'm going to be giving you a guide into Generation Z's humor.
Let's go. Ooh, good music.
But before we start talking about Generation Z, we need to make sure that you don't confuse Generation Z with millennials. You see, Generation Z started in 1995 and has continued through today.
Just on that cusp, baby.
Millennial humor was much more simple and could be represented by the easy-to-understand memes of iFunny, such as the Velociraptor, wherein a Velociraptor scratching his chin would ponder such questions as, if two lefties had an argument, which one would be right? Or the collection of meme templates known as Rage Comics, featuring such classics as Me Gusta and...
How about, though, the usage now of these memes, ironically, they're coming back, but people use them ironically now. How about that?
a troll face.
Jeez.
Some would say it wasn't incredibly funny, but you would breathe out of your nose slightly, and that was enough for them. So how is Generation Z's humor any different? Well, to understand that, you have to understand the background of Generation Z. They were born into the age of iPhones, iPods, iPads, an instant connection to the internet at nearly all times. This unprecedented accessibility, coupled with a little bit too much free time, is what led to the first influence of Generation Z's humor.
I love this.
When you hear a joke from a friend, it's funny that first time, and then maybe it's funny one more time when you reference it. However, imagine a bunch of people who you don't particularly care for come up and they all start telling the exact same joke.
Yeah, that joke was funny the first 400 times you said it.
This is exactly how the internet works. One person comes up with a meme, and then about 1 billion other people repost it continuously with slight variations. This overexposure of jokes is what leads to the concept of oversaturation.
Yes, he's probably going to talk about this, but then when you add little ironic or absurdist twists to the oversaturation, it gets funny again. Variations on a theme. That's a meme.
Which is a concept that members of Gen Z have to deal with on a near hourly basis. Being that this humor is consumed so rapidly, its life cycle is greatly diminished, leaving few-month-old trends to feel like they came out decades ago. This phenomenon brought rise to another staple of Generation Z humor.
Are you winning, son?
Oh, Pierre, you want to come out here?
Open Gangnam Style.
21.
Stop. No.
Sure, it's cool to
Love the
like
auto
things when they're
parts.
cool, but it's much cooler to wait until it's completely left everyone's brain just for you to bring it back in and enjoy it ironically. Similar to the concept of movies that are so bad they're good.
Oh, hi, Mark.
I can't believe you committed suicide. I cannot believe
What
you
is that? I don't know that
suicide.
one.
How could you have done this? How could you have committed suicide?
You enjoy it because it is awful, and making fun of it and pretending to enjoy it is in its own right entertaining. And this can apply to jokes and memes and music even. This is what allows outdated memes to receive a second life under the guise of ironic enjoyment, being only now that they're so unfunny and so unpopular that they can once again become funny. Sort of like recycling.
Not good. Delicious. Finally. Some good food.
Yep.
And sometimes the fact that the joke doesn't make any sense is itself the punchline. Take, for example, the
That's always, I can't wait for what he's going to say, but that's always the case. Not always. I don't know. I was first exposed to the internet in the LOL so to random, like, stick. Okay. You guys want to know what was unfortunately, or fortunately, very formative in my sense of humor growing up? Go right now to YouTube and look up forehead shave cut. Forehead is one word, shave cut is two. That was like the quintessential flash animation, like, oh, this is funny because it's just to random zors. And that is what I grew up in. So yeah, the random stuff to me is still funny. To this day. To this day.
Xie Hao Piao trend on TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
In July of 2020,
Shower.
there was a
He's washing
TikTok
him
trend
and
wherein
his
people would
clothes.
use the chorus of the song Xie Hao Piao as the punchline for their joke.
Yep.
There wasn't inherently anything funny about the joke, and even when you translate it back to English, it didn't make the memes make sense. But the fact that nobody really knew what it meant and that it was so ill-fitting as the punchline to a joke is what inherently made it funny.
And I would add to that, the reason why that is funny too is because the music and the way the singer is singing it sounds so like sincere and heartfelt. And his voice is like, oh. It's so like serious and like, oh, this was supposed to mean something, but now we're flipping it and making it ironic.
雪花飘飘，北风萧萧。
It also helps that this is a song that most people admit to enjoying, at least ironically. This trend was later replaced by Baka Mitai, a song from a game called Yakuza 0, wherein your character goes to a karaoke bar and sings a deeply emotional Japanese song.
Yes, that. Goodbye, kissanime.ru.
No food. 3 days.
Oh, Krabby Patties, huh? Finest under the sea!
Gen Z is the generation of limitless
Wow.
options. They were never forced to just listen to the radio. They could pick from any song ever created and listen to it whenever they wanted. And because so much variety exists, uniqueness is highly valued. On the flip side of that idea, mainstream content is despised.
I love that juxtaposition. Just Justin Bieber doing his thing with just loud booing. And I think that loud booing was from SpongeBob. I don't get the point though of this is where I may be a bit of a boomer, a bit of a millennial. If it's old and someone still thinks it's funny, or if I've seen that before, it's no longer fun. It can still be funny. Who hurt you? Why do you get to say what is like, don't feel like you have to think something's not funny anymore because you've already seen it, you know? You don't have to automatically be like, oh, no, I'm too cool for that. I actually saw that a week ago. Yeah. It was on TikTok, yeah. For you page. Already saw it. It's rich. Like, what's the point of that? If it's still enjoyable, If you don't enjoy it anymore, sure, but if you do, great. And if someone else does, but you don't yuck someone's yum, man. Just let people laugh. Why can't we all laugh? It's part of what makes life fun. In before someone in the comments says, oh, Kelsey's cringe. Kelsey's explanation of why you shouldn't think things are cringe. Cringe.
Once popular trends like dabbing, the Harlem Shake, and Fortnite were all completely ruined by their mainstream use in media, such as being featured on major news networks and being referenced by their parents. So when a song or meme that they've seen before is used by, say, a company to promote a product, it immediately becomes untouchable. And at this point, it's no longer cool to like it, even ironically. But now, even in social circles, if someone has seen a meme before, it no longer has value. You've had to seen it somehow at the point of conception, and if you're late to the party, you automatically suck. So if trends like video games and celebrities and songs and even meme templates are hated just because they're mainstream, how can any humor exist at all? Any joke or style that's been around is now considered completely invalid by Gen Z, so they're forced to constantly adapt to a new idea of what is considered funny.
Beans.
Take a look at this picture. This was for a brief time considered the embodiment of Gen Z humor. But
yeah.
What is the significance?
I loved the beans meme. I still think it's funny. See? I'm not the cringe police.
Significance of the statement, me and the boys at 2 a.m. looking for beans. What even is this image? Well, this is considered funny for a few reasons. For starters, it takes a phrase used frequently, me and the boys, and then subverts the direction of the joke that you would, as the reader, suspect. It adds an odd time to be doing anything, 2 a.m., and an action, looking for beans. Beans existed for a brief time as the universal funny word. In the early 2000s, the funny word was potato, and so the use of the word
freaking or turtle or llama. Oh my gosh. I don't know if anybody around my age, but like, happy llama, sad llama. This is cringe, I admit. Feel free to clip this and call me cringe. I embrace it. I think it is too. It's like, happy llama, sad llama, angry llama. And it was llama, it was potato, sometimes beans too, but in like a different sort of way. Rar XD. Very that.
Word in the food itself and images inherently added an air of randomness to catch the reader off guard and evoke a sense of humor. The image itself, being frightening, adds a sense of edginess, while the poor quality, in fact it's completely unrelated to the caption, creates a sense of rebellion to the standards of modern humor. Which brings us to our next topic.
A lot of nihilism.
Gen Z also has some of the highest mental health issues of any generation. They're plagued with things like depression, social anxiety, and thanks to growing up with access to endless information, existential dread. So how does this relate to humor? Well, these problems and fears are all directly influencing this generation's sense of comedy. Take, for example, the popular subreddit called 2MeIRL 4MeIRL. Nearly every post is about depression, suicide, loneliness, or social anxiety. And so even for the members of the generation not experiencing these problems, their humor is equally influenced by it merely due to the exposure caused by the memes being in circulation. However, some would argue that the millennial generation started the trend of depression.
Yeah, I thought that was more like a millennial thing, but I guess both generations have had access to tons of information from a really early age, so it makes sense that it would be both. I feel like this is a Venn diagram. There should be a little, I wish I could draw a little Venn diagram. That should be a Venn diagram.
Depressed humor, but whether Generation Z adopted it or not, jokes about mental illness are still incredibly present throughout Gen Z humor, if not somewhat more subtle.
I'm currently back in my favorite place, the porta potty that I was at last week.
You say peacock and no one bats an eye. But you say poopcock and everyone loses their minds.
Since this generation is between the ages of 25 and 0, most of the humor is meant for its own age group. Gen Z has an inherent drive to be counter to the popular culture. But while earlier generations might have gotten mohawks, dyed their nails black, danced publicly, or worn skirts above the ankles, Generation Z has to be much more covert about their rebellion, being as they're constantly being shut down.
I matter!
Shut up, Meg. You don't matter.
Because gone are the days where a guy named Chad would come up to you, flick you in the chest, and call you a dork. Now that everyone is on the internet all the time, they have thousands of people constantly telling them what they should wear, watch, eat, and that what they like is something they should be ashamed of.
Do you deserve rights based off your favorite anime?
And if they aren't told directly, others might be publicly shamed or embarrassed, leaving the people of Gen Z to be more self-conscious, hoping that they don't one day end up on a fail compilation, Twitter page, or harassing subreddit.
How can you look like that and not be insecure? This kid needs cancer to hit him and his whole family.
Thank you for...
Okay, I will say, I grew up heavily on the internet, but fortunately, it wasn't so directly a hostile place. Like, people wouldn't, like, I don't know if it's just because they didn't think to, but, like, TikTok wasn't a thing, which I think is a huge part of it. Because, like, someone can, like, just duet or, like, comment on, I mean, people can comment on anything, always have been without, I mean, unless there's restrictions, but people can just, like, duet or, like, repost your video unless you specifically set it to that so that they can't, or they can even screen record it, which was not a thing when I was a teenager. You had to, like, know how to do that stuff, and I did not. Like, I mean, we didn't have QuickTime on our phones, and the only way I could think to do that is, like, to have my laptop or computer, and just set up a QuickTime screen recording. You know what I mean? Like, we couldn't just screen record on our phones. So, like, if someone posted, like, an awkward or cringy thing, the worst thing that could happen was, like, people would make mean comments about it, or, like, screenshot it or share it on, like, MySpace, Facebook, Twitter, or not even Vine, because Vine wasn't, like, as easy to create content on as TikTok is. Although people did, I'm sure, do stuff like that, but I didn't see it if they did it. So I think it's so easy to be online, to not realize, like, the impact of what you're saying, and to just, like, mindlessly think, oh, all of this that I'm seeing is content, you know? And I'm free to say whatever about it, but people, and even if some people who say stuff like this, like, it's like a joke, they think it's a joke, it might not be taken as one, you know? It's so much easier to fully put someone on blast now than it was in the past. Just because of, like, how technology exists, which is wild to me. And before more people say I'm cringe.
We're thinking of me and my family.
I love this recipe. It would be fun to show people how to make it so that they can enjoy it.
These cookies were not good. Nobody gonna mention how she's using a liquid measuring cup and not a dry ingredient cup.
Yeah, freaking roast her. Roast her from using the wrong cup.
I made them and they sucked. Here's an actually good recipe.
This constant fear of rejection has caused a generation to resort to introversion and thusly awkwardness. And most of all, they've had to resort to different ways of expressing themselves and fighting societal norms, such as distorting the audio of the punchline, which is funny because I said so.
Right.
No, but actually this trend of low quality equals funny is incredibly popular purely for the reason of subverting comedic norms, such as distorting audio.
Rolling screens.
So what have we learned? If it's popular, it's no longer funny. If it was popular a long time ago, it's funny again. If you can get away with saying that it's ironically funny, it's funny. If the punchline doesn't inherently make any sense, it's funny. If something's considered incredibly unfunny, it's funny. But also remember that there's nothing that Gen Z likes more than changing and hating things. So this video is likely to become obsolete within a couple of weeks. But until then, here's your guide to Generation Z's humor. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, don't stop party rocking, or you might make me spill my beans all over the place. Comically large spoon, my friends. Have a good one.
Wow. Fun stuff. Yeah, I mean, I see I see a lot of the stuff about, oh, I saw that a week ago, it's not funny anymore. Haha, nice dead meme, bro. Like, all of that stuff almost seems to me like some of it is like, oh, things circulate faster because like things get old more quickly. But some of it, honestly, I wonder how much of that is just like being a little insecure and wanting to be super cool. I wanted to be super cool back in the day, so I'd be like, "Oh yeah, well I was really into musicals. I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm actually really into this one musical called Floyd Collins based on a historical event in which a man got stuck in a cave in the 1800s." Oh, you like Wicked? Oh, Wicked's good too. So I feel like sometimes like younger people who are insecure are just like that with everything. But that also might be me projecting on behalf of my younger self. The moral of the story in my eyes is if you think it's funny, just think it's funny, just laugh and don't feel bad about it and don't make other people feel bad about it. It's a lesson from Mama Kelsey. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this cringe video. If you liked it, be sure to like it and subscribe for more content like this. And I'll see you next time.